Good evening. Welcome to our caucus. Dave Trevisani is here from NDC to give us a report on parking.
Ready to begin?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if Mr. Schuster was going to make it on time, so we're thrilled he's here. The floor is yours.
Great, thank you very
Thanks.
much. Again, thank you for the time. This is our first parking update meeting of 2023. The last time we saw each other was before the end of the year, so you'll see some numbers here today that represent year-end numbers and the beginning of this year. But before we get started, I think some congratulations are in order. I haven't been here since the council changeover. Councilperson King, congratulations on becoming president of the council, and also congratulations on your as of right membership to the CDPS board of directors. Happy to find some time to work with you, to educate you on the role there. We have 4 meetings a year, and I'm happy to spend some time it's not a very big time sink on your part, but may be worth spending a few minutes when you have time to talk about just the logistics there.
Absolutely. I look forward to it.
Great. Thank you again, and congratulations. Also want to congratulate Councilperson Smurl, is it? Yes. Congratulations on being elected to council. Looking forward, again, an open invitation to work with you, to educate you, being new to this and our role and how this transaction maybe works and structured. And these, we have 4 of these meetings a year to update the council on both operations and finances. But there's a lot of detail. It's a complicated transaction. So again, more than happy to sit down at your convenience, talk through a little bit of the history if that works for you.
Great, thank you.
Again, welcome. We'll start with the operations, as is typical. Happy to report that the commercial spaces are doing well. Things are strong. We have a lot of leases that are coming for renewal up in 2023. Comics on the Green, which is in the Linden Garage, has renewed as of January 1st. Papa's Pizza has renewed for a year, again, starting February 1st. NovaCare, which is a care facility in the Casey Garage, they have an option that begins on October 1st. We've already negotiated that extension, and that's been signed, and they've extended for another 5 years. So again, really good news, a great tenant. We have 3 other leases coming up for renewal in 2023. They all have options. We all expect them to renew. Nothing's for certain, but as far as we know, things are going well, and they're interested in talking about extending their leases. O'Donnell and Fracker is the furniture manufacturer in that garage space in the Casey building. Zulo Investments is in the Medallion Garage next to ABM offices, and Moravia Health is really our newest tenant, and they are in the Connell building on the 1st floor. On the capital side, we've been busy trying to pull together some of the open items here. I think over the past few years, we've been really limited in resources. We do have some funds that are left and available from the capital program we completed just about a year and a half ago. So the things that are in the works, the Medallion Garage sewer line really wasn't working. It's collapsed essentially, so we had to replace that whole line from the building out to the city main. That is now complete. New handheld devices for the on-street enforcement officers, those are on order. It's completed, not completed, that we don't have them yet, but they've been shipped. A new maintenance vehicle. The vehicle we have is a 2005. It really wasn't worth putting any money into, so we'll dispose of that, get what we can on the recycle market, and order a new vehicle. Casey Garage fire panel has just been having some issues. I think it's something that we need to repair or upgrade. We have pricing for that. It isn't started yet, but we have proposals, and we've accepted those proposals, and we're waiting for the work to begin. The Linden Garage stairway had a roof leak. Turns out we needed to replace that whole roof. It's over on the stairwell on the, well, I don't know, north, south, east, west, but if you're facing the entrance on Linden, it's the entrance to the left. The roof on that stairwell needed to be redone. That is completed. The Mifflin lot repaving is going to be done in the spring. The city has agreed to work with us on that, since they do a lot of paving, and we will likely pay for materials and some labor, and it'll obviously save us some money, which is a great partnership. The handicap signs, I know, Dr. Rothschild, we've talked about this at length. The city has agreed to work with us. They have an extensive sign shop. ABM has looked at the sign shop. They feel like they have the capability. They did have a machine that broke down, and they've ordered a new one, so it might be another month or so before they have that new machine in, and once that takes place, I think we'll have those designed, and we'll start to replace those handicap signs with something that I think that is more, more in line with what historically you'll see. So I think that's really going to be make a big change. And again, that was rather costly when we got proposals, but with the city partnership, I think it's going to be really helpful for us. Power washing and striping, again, it's something that we should do every few years. It's a big line item. It might cost $30,000 to $40,000. And again, in working in partnership with the city, if we share in the cost, if we pay for materials or some of the labor, and that's something we're trying to work out, the city has the equipment. So if it's something that we can work with the city on to help save, I think it would be, again, beneficial to make sure that we're protecting the garages and doing the preventative maintenance so that they stay in good shape. Any questions on the capital program? On the grant side, I think you're all aware of this, the $450,000 in ARPA funds that was approved back in November. We intend to use those dollars to upgrade the former Coliseum space in the Medallion Garage. That's the only vacant commercial space that we have. It really is, there's really nothing there. If you remember, the space had mold. It was really in bad shape. We cleaned it out as part of the old program with dollars that we had from 2016-17. We want to make that more attractive to a potential tenant. So we'll do things like, it doesn't have heating, it doesn't have electricity, it doesn't, we're not sure, we want to make sure that the sprinkler system is working. So we're going to go in and do some of the basic items so that when a new tenant comes to look at that space, they at least know what they're looking at, and they can get an idea of what it's going to cost them to subdivide it for their own use. We've retained the services of Highland Associates, which is an architect that's local, that is doing a scope of work for us. That work will have to be ultimately publicly bid. So once we have that scope, we'll bid it, and hopefully, I think that we'll have sufficient funds to do what we need to do because we're not subdividing the space. If we do a mechanical system, upgrade the electric, the bathrooms are there, so it'll just make it look more presentable. So we're hopeful that that work will attract some tenants, and that'll add to our ability to generate revenue for the system. The local share account, we applied for that, been in touch locally. No word on that. I think I mentioned at our last meeting that the heating and ventilation systems of a lot of our tenants some are upwards of 25 years old, and not having the dollars to replace them in whole, I think if we were able to secure dollars to do that, it would make the units more energy efficient, more environmentally friendly. It'll help keep the utility rates lower for the users of the space, and I think all in all be a better situation for the tenants that we have. It'll help us keep the rents in line. So we haven't heard on that yet, but we remain hopeful because I think that's an important something important that we really want to take care of over the next couple years. I think I'll just stop there.
Dave,
Yes.
The Mifflin Street lot.
Yes.
I'm not overly familiar with where that lot is.
I'm not sure I could describe it to you. There's an education. It's in front of a building.
So is it, you got Penn Avenue, the next street down, is that Mifflin or Franklin? I'm trying to think. Franklin.
Franklin.
So Mifflin's the furthest one down.
It's actually pretty far over. It's a surface lot. We have meters in that lot. It's the only surface lot that we have meters in.
Is it the lot then across from like Todd O'Malley's offices in
I think
Northeast
that's right.
I?
Yep. There's a building, the lot's right in front of it, and there's meters. The city
Used to
owned
be
the
the
lot, and
unemployment office.
That's right. That's what it
Okay.
is. Yeah, thank you.
Gotcha.
It's the employment office. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of that. It's the employment office.
That's all right. Okay.
So we've been patching it for a few years now. It really needs to be redone. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thanks. On to the numbers. As I said, last time we met, it was in December. We had projected year-end numbers. We finished out the year. This is a summary here. We were revenue better than budget by $367,000. Expenses were higher than budget by $155,000. We had some unexpected expenses there. And so, and therefore, the NOI was better than budget by $211,000. So I think all in all, we would call that a very good year. But again, keep in mind, and looking at the detail, the far right is the budget. The three columns in the middle are the actual year-end numbers as of December 31st, the budget line, and then the variance line. So if you look at the budget line on the far right, we had passed a deficit budget last year. You know, coming out of the pandemic, we really weren't sure how the system was going to perform. So the good news is we beat budget. You know, the not so good news is we had a deficit budget going in. So, and I think, as you know, we've been working very closely with our bondholders. They're well aware. We've been able to meet debt service with reserves up until this point. We were able to make our debt service payment in this January. So far, so good. I mean, we would call this actually a really good year. I think if you look at the detail, we were a little better than budget on monthlies, under budget on transient, which we expected. Folks aren't coming down as much. Remember, again, these were with the higher rates, the $4 an hour rates. The direct miscellaneous income, those are tenants. We've had some of our tenants that have been behind on rent, and so we're working with them. So that's really a timing issue. We expect them all to come current. And the real good news is the on-street system has been performing well. The parking meter, coins and credit cards and pay by cell, that is all on-street, and those numbers are largely better than budget, and that's a really good sign for us. And I think, as we discussed last year, you know, our hope with changing the rates and going to a lower rate on the transients would drive more parking into the garages with the lower rates, free up those premium spots on the street, which hopefully that will continue to show increases in the on-street revenue.
Dave, have you noticed an increase of cars that are parking in the garages now?
I think it's just too early to tell.
Okay.
I think January was a good month. I think we were a little bit surprised as how good it was on the transient side. So that's a good start. But I think we really need a good, you know, and it goes by seasons as well. Remember, people come out more in the better weather. So
Right.
I think we want to be able to compare month to month, you know, like this month versus last month, January, which we really haven't done yet. But,
Sure.
But I think we need a good 6 or 8 months to kind of get a sense of how things are going.
Okay,
So, but I appreciate it. Good question.
thanks.
So that's 2022. So going into 2023, there's a lot of detail on this slide, but I think it's good information. We showed you this at the end of last year. On the far left is historical data, 2017 through 2021. And as you can see on the revenue side, in 2017, we had $4.5 million in revenue, and in 2020, we had $3.3 million in revenue, which was the start of the pandemic. That included a rate increase because we increased rates at the end of 2019. So clearly a huge hit for us on the revenue side. Things started to get better in 2021, $3.9 million in revenue. Again, not anywhere near where we were in 2017, but again, rate increases are reflected in that number in 2021. So I think what we recognized, pandemic aside, and we talked about this last year, and again, with your support, we worked with our bondholders in the city and this body to agree to lower the rates in the garages from $4 an hour and $7 for 2 hours to $1 an hour for the first 10 hours. I think the thinking there is, over the long term, And what we realized is what we've learned, who the customer is here in Scranton, and what the affordability is, and what the elasticity of the system is. In other words, how much can you ask people to pay before they stop coming altogether? Is that we felt the rate structure that was built into the concession agreement was just too aggressive, and it was going to start to discourage people from coming downtown at all. So we felt we had to do something. The city obviously was on board with that. Who wouldn't want to lower rates? But more importantly, the bondholders were on board with that. So that was really important for us, and I think it was a win for the city and a win for the system. And we'll continue to work with our bondholders on restructuring this debt and what we call right-sizing it for the long-term benefit of the system as a whole. So in looking at the 2023 budget, which is the far right column, which has the 2023 budget, the third column from the right, the second column from the right, as compared to the actuals 2022 year end. So the budget is the second column over. We're projecting can't even read that number, I'm sorry, 4.1 is that in revenue, against 2.8 in expenses, for $1.3 million in NOI. Again, a deficit budget, meaning we don't expect to generate enough revenue to cover the debt service payment. But again, we have been working with our bondholders right along. We are current on our debt currently. We've made our payment in January. I think as this year unfolds, we'll continue to share this information with them. And when our next payment is due in July, I think we'll need to decide how we're going to handle that and maybe look for some relief from the bondholders. The big differences you'll see between 2022 and 2023 are really in the transient line, and that's due to the fact that that's where the garage rates are. So we lowered the rates, so clearly we expect less revenue there. Everything else is about flat. Validations are going to go down for the same reason. The validation is where you have a merchant or a business owner that wants to pay or contribute to their customers' parking. So that was a discounted rate prior in 2020 up until last year. Now with the rates lower, obviously the revenue will be lower in the validation side. Everything else is a little bit flat. We are expecting slight increases in the on-street revenue for the same reason. We expect folks to go more into the garage, free up some of the premium on-street spaces. So again, these are our best estimates. We'll have to monitor this as the year goes out to see how this performs against our projections and against stay obviously in close touch with this body and our bondholders. The continued partnership is really appreciated. Without the support of even these smaller projects could be big assistance for us. And if there's collaborations that we could forge with, paving or power washing, that really is a big deal for us. If there's money on capital that we can apply for, that if it's available, we don't have to put that into operations. The bondholders really appreciated the support that this body provided by extending the concession agreement and contributing some federal ARPA money to some capital projects that we're in the process of working through now. So we appreciate that partnership and hope and expect it'll continue. So again, thank you there. Any questions? I know that's a lot of numbers up there on the 23 budget and our assumptions. Sure. Yep. Well, a merchant who wants to participate will provide them with a system, and they'll have a computer and a handheld. And so if a customer of theirs goes into the garage, pulls a ticket, they go to shop, they go buy something at a shop, and let's say it's an hour validation, and the business owner decides how much time they want to buy. So let's say they buy an hour or 2 hours. That would be, if the merchant validated that ticket, then we would just track that and then send a bill to the business owner for how many validations they provided. So if it's $1 an hour and they validated 100 customers that month, we'll send them a bill for $100, and then they pay us. And the benefit to the business, to the customer, is their parking got paid by the business owner.
So
I
it's
think
monthly.
it's a really good system, and I think a lot of folks like it.
Okay, so it's a monthly thing.
It's a monthly thing, that's right.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
So that's our budget. So next, we have 1 month of data. So the good news is we're beating budget. Revenue better by 80,000, expenses a little bit worse by 10. So an NOI better than budget by $69,000. If you want to look at that detail, we have the month of January is on the far left. Well, actually, they're the same because it's only the first month. We have monthly revenue. Monthlies was really better than budget by $40,000. That's a really good sign. What we've seen on the monthlies is the residential parking has really picked up, and that's a good news. I know the development community's been very active in building residential units, and we did a survey a couple years ago, and it turns out that folks are, I mean, nobody wants to pay, right? Everybody wants to pay less, but most of the folks who live downtown park with us, and the reasons they gave are, it's close to my work, it's safe, and it's convenient. I mean, that's really what, especially a lot of the women who responded, that's really was the issue, it was safety, close to my work, close to my home, and you're in a lighted, secure garage, and it made a big difference to folks, rather than go park on the street or park outside the district where, you know, you're walking farther and maybe not as safe a walk. So I thought that was really boded well for the system and how they viewed it. Folks still would rather pay less, but other than that, I think folks were pretty happy with, most folks parked with us, but over 80% of the residential parkers parked with us.
And under a typical winter, would save them from having to get all the snow off of their cars.
That's right.
So
Exception is this winter.
Sorry, are those numbers based on a survey that you guys had completed recently with monthly parkers, or?
It was, I think it was 2 years ago now.
Okay.
So something that could be updated because there's been some growth.
Right, yeah,
but-
so you'll be repeating
Yeah,
that
we
then?
will. We definitely will.
Okay.
To continue, the transient parking was better, $10,000 better than budget. That was a little bit of a surprise to us with the lower rates, so I think that says that's a good sign that more folks are continuing to use the garages, and even with the lower rates, we were better than budget by $10,000. Everything else was pretty much flat. Another good sign is the meters and the pay-by-cell were both up by $20,000 almost in total. So that kind of is our hope. It's only 1 month, but our hope was that we would be able to drive more parking into the garages, and then the on-street spaces would free up. So, and I think the fact that we did this around the holidays, I think helped a lot. We saw a lot of traffic, and we got a lot of good feedback from the businesses downtown.
Dave, how are we doing with when those kiosks go down? Do you kind of keep track of how often they go down and how long they're down and things like that?
We do. I don't have that data here, and I know that we've shared it in the past, but it's something that we continually monitor. We get a notice if a kiosk goes down. We get notified, and we send out a repair person.
Yeah, because
and I
if
think
there's
that
ever been a complaint, it's, geez, I went to the kiosk
Yeah.
closest to where I parked, it's broken, now I gotta
Right.
either cross the street, go down the street.
Right.
That's probably one of the biggest
We're going to
aggravations.
get that. I think what we had, and I don't have this information again, and we could, maybe that's something we can status next time.
I'd appreciate that. Just to kind of get a sense for when they go down, what's the typical length of time they're down, and I'm sure maybe there's various reasons why they go down, but hopefully we're doing a good job at getting those booted back up again.
Right. I think we are. And if we look at the overall percentage based on how often they're used, I think what we determined was that we're right in line. It's not unusual. they are going to go down on occasion, and as long as we're getting out there, which is what I would want to know, that ABM is getting out there, or our contractor is getting out there as soon as possible to repair them, that's, I think, the best we can do. But I think that last we checked, that was happening on a regular basis and a consistent basis. But they are going to go down occasionally, so.
I had a couple of further questions with regards to the handicap parking.
Sure.
So I know you've mentioned that you're working with the city on the new signs, which I'm happy to hear about, so that'll hopefully make it more obvious for parkers that it is a handicap spot, and if they don't have a placard, that they can't park there. I know we've also discussed it, I believe, on the city end with painting the lines to make it more obvious, maybe blue lines
Yep.
for those handicap spots too. So I'm not sure if that was included in the conversations that you've had with the city, or if that's
Yes, it
something
has,
happening
and
on our
I don't know
end.
that I don't have a status of that, but that, I know those conversations took place with the city, and that was going to happen. It was agreed to happen. I just don't know where that is. Paint the
Right, neither do
lines.
I. So I think we had recently requested further updates
Yep.
on that from our end, but
Okay.
I was just wondering if you had anything.
I don't have anything to report today, but when I'm through here, I'll get with the ABM team tomorrow morning and get you a status on the timing.
Okay, and then I had also.
Maybe winter, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to guess, but I'll get you an update for sure.
Okay, and then I had also asked for numbers from Scranton Police on how many tickets they're giving out for people illegally parking in handicap spots, but I'd also like to know that information from
Okay.
ABM too, as to how many tickets they're giving out, and then once we have the changeover and the improvements with the signage and the painting, to see
Monitor it.
if that lessens the amount of people illegally parking in those spots.
Great. Yep.
Because we want to make sure that they're, available to people as much as possible. And I think we also need to look into if we need additional spots added, because we want downtown to be accessible for everyone. So that includes people who might be disabled.
Agreed. We'll get you an update from ABM team.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thanks. And that's all I have. Thank you very much. Happy to answer any
Does
questions.
anybody have any more questions? We good?
I know the last time you were in, we touched a little bit on the parking decriminalization. Is there
Right.
anything else now, did I miss that from the first few minutes of this?
No, nothing more to report. I think in working with the city, it was wait for the new council, and we just need to maybe find some time to do some more education. And we still think it's obviously very important to have something that is a deterrent for folks to, get tickets and then not pay them. And we're open to the discussion about what that looks like, but no update from last time we discussed.
Okay, it's still something you guys are thinking about pursuing?
Yes, very much so.
All right, but no update. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So with that said, what is the percentage of people that don't pay?
It's, I can't give you those numbers without having the data in front of me, but I could certainly send that to you, and
Please.
we could share that with you.
Thank you.
But it's a significant number. I want to say we collect 30 to 40%, but don't quote me on that. But it's a significant dollar amount that we're not able to collect.
Thank you, David. Appreciate you coming in and giving us the update. Take a 3-minute break, and then we'll have a caucus.
Thank you.